I went through a season of my life where I got a little bit desensitized to horror films. Like I started to like compromise, like, oh, I'm just gonna watch like suspense films, and this isn't bad because it doesn't have any like demonic things in it. And I started to categorize what I thought was okay and was not okay in God's eyes, and kind of try to find that like lukewarm line to where I could watch it without being convicted. The truth is it is intriguing to your flesh to watch these films. I was just like praying, asking God to speak to me, and what I really felt him say to me is the goal is to desensitize us and make demonic forces seem entertaining. It's making light of demonic forces and using them as forms of entertainment so that we're attracted to them and our flesh wants to go towards them so that it can gain that foothold in our life. In 2020, I started watching The Vampire Diaries. It was viral on TikTok. Honestly, I watched it like 4 different times, and I'd always stop at season 3 because I would feel convicted because there was this one scene that I was just like, oh, like, again, I had that gauge in me of, oh, like, it was okay to do this much, but now this is too far. When God says have nothing to do with any of it. And every single time, like, a spell would come on the screen or something, I'd feel like a conviction in my heart, like there was just something off. And so I'd fast forward the spell. Little did I know that all of those years that I was watching that show, I was actually letting a door into my household, and a household of God, for witchcraft to enter and for demonic forces to enter into my house. And you guys might be thinking, Allie, you might be thinking so much about this. And guess what? I didn't think that much about this until 2 years later. I saw a TikTok of a writer's assistant on the show The Vampire Diaries and the originals that was laughing and making light about the fact that when she was writing the spells to this show, she actually was looking up real chants and real spells on Google, changing a couple of words and putting them into these scripts to be shared all across the world into people's living rooms and households. So bad that the witches in New Orleans actually called her and said, you are messing with powers you don't even know about. You are unleashing demonic forces into these people's homes. I literally would have nightmares every single night while watching it. Enemy wanted me to believe was just a coincidence, but it wasn't. There was something that I didn't know about, that I'd opened the door to the enemy, that he was now using it as his playground. Even this morning, I felt God called me to talk to my cousin Amira, and she came in my room and she didn't even know what we were talking about today. Hey, Allie, I'm watching the show The Vampire Diaries and I'm having nightmares. A girl I knew on Instagram said, hey, I started watching The Vampire Diaries, and I swiped up and I said, that show gave me nightmares. She said, oh my gosh, I've been having nightmares since I started watching this. Which is crazy because that is just one example we know about of the demonic forces going on in the movies that we're watching.
The devil has just gotten in so heavily that everybody will start making light of all of these different things the more that people see it, because our bodies are built to adapt. The more that we get in front of something, the more that it will not impact us. As soon as we start having these things placed in front of our minds, and more demons and more shows and more music, that's why all of a sudden all of these artists are coming out with just straight out there like, oh yeah, that's the devil. There's no, oh it kind of looks like it. No, that's it. There's a reason these things are still getting millions and millions upon millions of likes, because everybody's been desensitized to this. All of those things that are happening in those horror films are completely contradictory to what the word of God says. Spirits, the demons, all of these things, God says, run from evil, flee from evil. I almost guarantee you, almost everybody would say, yeah, it's evil, but I'm protected. You are protected when you are following what God says to do. You are underneath his wing, when you are in the shadow of his wing, it says. I found a verse that'll take all this home. Proverbs 8:13. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Do you actually have the fear of the Lord if you don't hate evil?
I think about like how many times we become so desensitized that we even like invest the money and the finances that God gives us into things that are evil. Not only do we not hate them, but for example, Halloween Horror Nights or concerts or going to the movies that are promoting evil, giving Satan a bigger platform, we invest our finances in buying tickets to it and supporting it because we'd rather partake in that and be entertained by it than to actually fear the Lord. That is a scary place to be.
That is terrifying.